Welcome to The Zone. The Zone is a show dedicated to the world of HBCU sports and beyond. On The Zone, we have exclusive interviews from across the country. We discuss topics that others dare not touch. So join us for this week's episode of The Zone, presented by the Open Mic Broadcast Network, Prairie View, Texas. The Prairie View A&M University Panthers take care of business from Gulfport, Mississippi by defeating the Grambling State Tigers 8-7 on the last at bat. Panthers jumped out to a 4-0 lead early in the first, found themselves down at 7-4, rallied to tie it up, and then take the lead on the last at bat to give the Panthers the 2023 championship run of completion, I might add. The Panthers completing the trifecta, the number one overall record in conference play, winners of the Western Division, and now the back-to-back champions of the Southwestern Athletic Conference softball tournament. So the Panthers will now await Selection Day to see what their next opponent and where they'll be playing. But meanwhile, they will bask in the glory and celebrate the victory. Panthers went undefeated in tournament play, and they were able to complete that thing because if Grambling had found a way to win that Friday night game, they would have had to play on Saturday, and the Panthers didn't want any part of that, so they went ahead, mixed and matched, and came out with the victory. But overall, excellent tournament play. Two of the best games played throughout the tournament had to be Alcorn Alabama State game, where Alcorn defeated the top seed of Alabama State. And then this one here, the championship game, it had everything that you want. You had a grand slam, an inside the park home run, a little mixing up at home plate, if you would, lead exchanges back and forth, and it went down to the wire, just as you would like to see a championship game to be played and handled. The Panthers overcoming a lot of challenges on and off the field, some personal hurts that the Panthers had to go through with some teammates, but they were able to rally together and come for the completion of what they started by becoming the 2023 SWAC softball champions. Congratulations, Prairie View. We're going to pause real quickly. We'll tell you about what happened on the baseball diamond as the Panthers had a home away from home. And welcome back to the show. The radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince, here with you, reminding you guys you can always follow me on Twitter at The Mike Prince Show. Subscribe to the YouTube channel at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. And if you get a chance to, check out our website at obnradio.com. Well, before the break, we were talking about how the Panthers were able to complete the trifecta, and we talked about them winning that Western Division. Let me put this little side note. This was the first time that there was someone other than Texas Southern winning the Western Division of the Southwestern Athletic Conference softball division in 12 seasons. So you figure that out. That was something that was unheard of, especially when you understand the plight of Texas Southern. But all that was dismantled this season with the Panthers, as we mentioned last segment, completing the trifecta with the SWAC championship. Now on to the baseball diamond. You have very unique circumstances to unfold this weekend with the chance of rain in the Prairie View area, and you're coming down to your final two series of the season, and two critical series that can determine the final positioning coming from the Western Division of the conference for tournament play, which is scheduled from Atlanta, Georgia. So the Panthers decided to take the show on the road, made some arrangements with Lamar University, and played two games, a doubleheader on Friday, beginning at noon. Panthers came back to win the first game of the doubleheader to now even that series. And the rubber match will be Sunday, Mother's Day, back at Lamar for the completion of that series. Now, once that series has been completed, the Panthers will have Grambling, and I'm using air quotes, at home, depending on the circumstances yet again. But the Panthers are in a very critical run of the schedule. We know that Grambling is on top right now. Texas Southern has a slight advantage over Prairie View right now. That's why I was mentioning earlier during the week that I was really hoping that the Panthers could get a sweep to kind of close that gap and kind of leapfrog back over Texas Southern. And then you got Southern University lingering around in the picture. And so it's just getting tighter and tighter as we get closer and closer toward the finish line. But the Panthers should, unless something just totally collapses, but I can't even see that happening with as few games as you have remaining, they should make the tournament play to get a chance to rectify and do some things. So some very exciting times in the baseball atmosphere, softball atmosphere, if you want to partake in that. And those who listen to this show at any time, you know that I am a huge baseball supporter, played the sport myself, had some very good success on the field. And it's always been a head scratcher for me to wonder. I know it's not the money cash cow that football can be, but as we've pointed out time after time, you're seeing with the play of the Panthers on the softball side, you're seeing the play of Alabama State on the baseball side, that given the right circumstances and the right matchups, you can be competitive with the quote-unquote big boys. And it just takes some creative thinking. We can't operate in the way that other teams are accustomed to operating, because that's just not how things are laid out for us financially. But I still believe that there is enough talent, yes, in the state of Texas and slightly beyond, to build some very solid baseball and softball programs that can be competitive beyond your conference. And that is the Achilles heel. It's great to have 30, 25 wins within your conference, but those key matchups outside the conference can really help the RPI, can help the footprint of your program and the reputation of your program. And just kind of at a glance, what triggered all this was our conversation earlier this week with Coach Parker, who comes on with us on our SWAC Weekly Baseball Talk. And we'll continue. We got to continue that conversation when we get a chance to speak with him on next week. But I'm just looking from a Texas perspective, i.e. Prairie View, Texas Southern. Somehow, some way, if you can find a way to keep some midweek games with the likes of a Rice University, even though they're struggling, as we're accustomed to seeing what Rice could do. University of Houston, Baylor, Texas A&M, University of Texas, Sam Houston, Stephen F. Austin, Incarnate Word. You could play the likes of a Lamar. You could play the likes of a McNeese. You could play the likes of a Houston Christian University, Dallas Baptist. Those are a lot of within range programs that can, A, give you that competition edge that you'll need for long haul regional play, super regional play, if you're able to get that far. And it builds that RPI ranking for your conference within. Now, the big fuss has been when we play our HBCU brothers and sisters in the likes of a Jarvis, the likes of Wiley, Houston Tillerson, and so on and so forth. Are those games beneficial for a Division I program? And that's where the red flags come up, and that's where the tug of war comes up. Because unlike football, as we mentioned earlier, it's not a big money draw as far as attention. And in the case of Prairie View, I think one of the great advantages that they could do is the ability to adjust the lights, where they could have some Friday night, Saturday night baseball games, which I think would help boost their attendance and potentially put some revenue within their budgets. But that's a whole nother subject right now. We're just talking about building that footprint that's going to give you that extra bite, if you would, for some respect within your craft. In this case, we're speaking on baseball. So it's very, very interesting. Of course, we'll talk again with Coach Parker about this. In addition to that, my philosophy, especially when you're playing those non-regional Tuesday, more than likely games for your preparation for the rest of your conference play, you don't just throw one pitcher. Go in with a pitching by committee approach. Give these guys the advantage of being seen once or twice throughout the lineup. Get them in, get them out to keep the batter's timing off and keep your guys within striking range to pull off some of these quote-unquote upsets. But I believe if structured properly, it could be a lot of more success coming in the future for FCS, HBCU baseball, softball opportunities. That's just my way of looking at this thing. I'm going to pause real quickly, come back with more right here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. I am the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince. Keep it where you got it. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the show. The radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince, here with you. As we often try to remind you guys, you can follow me on Twitter at The Mike Prince Show. Subscribe to the YouTube channel at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. We've also put together a training course, a training manual to help broadcasters who are trying to find their way getting into this business, or you might be a seasoned veteran with just a refresher's course on the ins and outs of broadcasting, and by way, broadcasting, and be able to put a little extra coin in your pocket. So if you'd be interested in something like that, go to the website at obnradio.com, and we'll have some links for you to share and click on where you can further enhance your sports broadcasting, talk show host, and producing expertise in the craft. Meanwhile, as we were taking this break and we were talking about the baseball opportunities and the softball opportunities that presents itself for competition beyond your conference, and once again focused in on the Texas home base, when you look at the overall Division I opportunities in football / basketball, baseball, in the state of Texas, there are 20 institutions that qualify for this Division I status, which simply means is that we're all recruiting the same player. Now, when you look at it from that angle, what vantage point can I focus in on to go in? Because let's be honest, not all African-American students are going to want to come and play at an HBCU program for various reasons. NIL is one that jumps right off the page for me. But there are other factors that weigh into that. How do I maximize the resources available to me by the time that kid gets to me? Yes, the portal right now as we speak has over 3,200 kids, but not every kid that's in that portal is going to fit your program. They can have all the talent in the world, but the attitude just don't match, or it's not worth the headache that they would bring for your program to be successful. Because, yeah, wins are vital, and they're what determine if you're going to hold on to a coach or not. But you also got to have that person that's going to be an ambassador for your university or college when they put that jersey or uniform and that university is on the front of their chest. They're representing that university. They're representing themselves, their family, and whoever's connected to them. So how do you deal with these obvious obstacles? You still got to win regardless, because you can't take the position then say when you get to the position, well, I don't have enough resources. Hopefully you're doing your due diligence when you walk in to the circumstances, whether you are being recruited as the head guy, assistant guy, strength and conditioning coach, whatever the case may be. Know what you're walking into, but still be resourceful enough, creative enough to work with what you have to get what you most. Now, if I am the AD, I'm not the AD, but let's say I'm the AD of Prince University. Not Princeton, but Prince University. And when we look at what I can do with what I have right now, I know that there's a big fuss on facilities. And, you know, you want to have the latest and the greatest stadium. I could do without the top-of-the-line facilities at Prince University. There's a big fuss about uniforms, mixing and matching and doing all that. I can do with all the fancy mixing and matching. Whatever your primary colors are for your university, let that be the rule of thumb. And let's just say that my colors are blue and white. I'm just going to use that for simplicity. If my colors are blue and white, then of course my home jersey in football would be blue. Road jersey is white. You can get the white pants and you can go from there. And as far as I'm concerned, you can get a blue helmet or a white helmet and call it the day, and you can mix and match. And if you even want to get creative, get you a pair of blue pants and be done with it. Flip-flop, whatever you can do with those combinations. When it comes to basketball, you're going to have one home, one road. See you when I see you. When it comes to baseball, softball, same way. A gray, a white, and then maybe on a Sunday uniform, that primary color being blue, you could have that blue top. You could use your white pants or your gray pants to mix and match for a different look. There it is. There's no need for that. But the thing that I am really going to put as much emphasis as I can. It doesn't have to be fancy, but it does have to be effective, and that's going to be my nutrition program and a weight room. Because if I can get the proper nutrition in my student athlete, and let's be honest, most student athletes that we'll deal with on our level, FCS, HBCU level, these guys are going to need some type of developing. They're not going to come polished and ready to go. They're not going to come, as they say, buttoned down and with that, what they call it, runway appearance, looking good, fancy, free. Let's go get it done, coach. You're going to have to develop your program, develop your players. And the scary thing about that right now in today's time, you could take the time to develop that player, and once that player develops and they feel like they've gotten a step or two above you, then to the portal they run. That's the balancing act that is oh so critical at this era of coaching. But back to my point that I was trying to make here. When you go and you have a nutritional program, you know, these guys are eating properly, learning what to put in their bodies, learning how to handle their bodies, learning how to stretch, learning how to all-season condition. Those are things, they take more effort in the creative out-the-box thinking to develop those programs than spending millions of dollars on a stadium that you'll use 5-6 times out of the year. That is something that I think, no, the budgets are not the same, and the budgets are not going to be the same, even though we keep hitting the alarm to, you know, bring attention to it. But meanwhile, as my pop would say back at the ranch, I have to find out a way to be creative and do what I need to do, how I need to do it. We just mentioned you got 20 Division I programs in the state of Texas. We're all competing for that same type of player. I'm going to more than likely get the players that fall through the crack, that are here by way of default, and I'm okay with that. I don't care how you got here. Just get here, and we can do the rest, and you develop and build them from there. And you take your programs, and you build your programs, which is another reality check that we do know that not everyone's going to make pro, and I get that. I know that it's a great thing to have that on your to-do list, your bucket list. But let's be real about this thing. We want to build you for success after whatever sport you choose to play. And once you build that success, once you've created that legacy, if you would, for your playing days, let's go out here and be a productive citizen in whatever community we end up in. So let's build it from that approach. Let's have a great time here at college. Let's build and win as many games as we can. Let's build your future. Let's build the legacy of the university that we're representing, and let's get this thing done with a nutritional program, a weight program that can build size and character for all of our student athletes. That's my little 2 cents on it. I'm going to take another break, and we'll be back with more of today's episode here from the Open Mic Broadcast Network. I am the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the show, radio guy Dr. Mike Prince. Reminding you guys that June 1st will be the mega football camp on the campus of Prairie View A&M University. Of course, you'll have Coach Bubba McDowell, who is the head coach of the Prairie View A&M University Panthers. But you'll have special guests, Deion Sanders of the Colorado Buffaloes, and a list of other knowledgeable and notable coaches, Willie Simmons of FAMU, and much, much more. So be sure to mark your calendar for June 1st. If you got a little one and wants to get some football knowledge, insight, have them register for the June 1st mega football camp on the campus of Prairie View A&M University. Well, we know that we've been talking all this baseball talk and how you can develop and build some things. We are coming up on football season, and believe it or not, we're still in the middle of some spring football. The XFL will have its championship game this weekend. It will have D.C. against Arlington. The XFL had some surprisingly good numbers, some good competitions throughout the courses of the game. It's been somewhat of a surprise that Arlington has made it to the championship round to face off against D.C. They upset Houston. Houston was the favorite for that matchup. And if you're in my shoes, I was, of course, rooting for the St. Louis Battlehawks, but they came up a bit short. But it's been very competitive games in the XFL, and they had a report that the numbers have somewhat exceeded their expectations. Now you see what the USFL is going to be able to do with their second go-round. But I guess the question more or less is, are you even watching these spring football games? Do they even matter to you or not? I guess we'll take a poll on that through our Twitter handle at the Mike Prince Show to see what you guys think about that. Meanwhile, the championship game, as we mentioned, for the XFL will be on Sunday. I believe it's going to be 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. See if anyone is going to watch or even care of the outcome. And ironically enough, there will be no NBA playoff games played during that time. I believe it's Saturday. I think I said Sunday, but I think it's going to be on Saturday. And it'll be very interesting to see how all of that unfolds and the impact of those numbers. And speaking of the impact of numbers, it is coming up on time for you to make your purchase for your season football tickets, whether you're with Prairie View, any other swag school. Get out there and support your programs, help them get to where they need to get to, and that is hoisting up their conference championship. Or you liking what your team is doing or what they've done, how they've added and how they've lost by way of the portal and things of what you're doing. Of course, we heard from Coach Bubba McDowell. He was extremely pleased with his spring. I won't say extremely pleased, but he was pleased with the results of his spring game. Going to go and fine-tune some things through the portal. We heard from Coach Hampton of University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, talked about him and his development of his program. Also heard from Willie Simmons and Coach Clarence McKinney of Texas Southern and respectively of FAMU. Got a couple more coaches we're going to be hearing from, reminding you also about the July 25th SWAC Media Day from Birmingham, Alabama. That will be a very large setting. It's going to be Life After Dion at Jackson State. What is it going to be like for Coach T.C. Taylor? Will he be able to carry on? And if you ask some say it's going to be extremely hard to come in, of course, after the likes of a Deion Sanders. But he's been given the load, and we'll see how far he can carry that load with the program at Jackson State. Meanwhile, you're going to be looking, could this be the year of the Tigers? And when I say the Tigers, the Grambling State Tigers, the Texas Southern Tigers, and, of course, we just referred to the JSU Tigers. So which one of those Tigers are going to have that breakout year? We know what Jackson has done the past couple of seasons under the leadership of Deion Sanders. What's going to happen with the Hughes-Jackson connection? What's going to happen with the Clarence Kinney connection? So a whole lot of Tiger watch going on throughout the Southwestern Athletic Conference. And don't forget, football, soccer will be kicking off in the August time of year. August 18th, I believe, is when they officially kick off. The return of Abe Garcia to Prairie View, the original founding coach of the soccer program at Prairie View, and had some marginal runs, and some would say that his, let's say, involuntary release was a bit premature, but he has a chance to come back home and start what he had continued to build from its inception here on the campus of Prairie View A&M University. And we cannot forget the volleyball resurgence of Miss Cherie Lindsay of Prairie View. She's returning home from where she played to get a chance to try to resculpture the volleyball program. So there are a lot of things going on in the atmosphere at Prairie View, and we're going to try our very best to keep you in tune, posted on the ins, the outs, the good, the bad, and the ugly that goes on. And it's not just at Prairie View, but throughout every campus that makes up our beloved Southwestern Athletic Conference. I am going to exit stage left for today. Thank you guys so much for joining in with us throughout the course of the week for the Mike Prince Show. And of course, on the weekend, The Zone, and all the other programming that we put together here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. I would encourage you, if you would, and remind you that we are able to continually provide these things, the training for reporters and broadcasters and the travel and everything that it takes, with your support. Become a listening partner. All you need to do is visit that website, and we're asking, if you could, commit to a $5 a month donation. That's 17 cents a day, and when you add it all up for the year, that's $60. If you can't do that, quite understandable. But if you could do anything, it would be greatly appreciated. If you have a business and you'd like your business highlighted on all the game coverage that we do, our daily talk shows and reports that we do, we have a program that is exclusively for you, and it's called the 365 over 365 plan. This plan is guaranteed to spread your message and reach people to help grow your business. If these are some things that you can help make a difference with us here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network, please visit that website at obnradio.com. You can click on the donation button, and just like that, you become a listening partner. If you'd like more about the 365 over 365 plan, by all means, you can send your inquiries by way of email to ombnetwork@gmail.com. EDITION.mp3.com. If you are in the position of wanting to become an affiliate, if you want to learn more about becoming a sports broadcaster, we have a phone number with your name on it, 720-721-1558. Dial this number. There's a pre-recorded message, no strings attached. Listen to that message, and if it's something that you would like to further pursue, leave your contact information. It's just that simple. I've got to go. My time is far spent. I am the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince. Thank you guys so much for joining in with us. Don't forget, follow me on Twitter at The Mike Prince Show. Subscribe to the YouTube channel at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. And until the next time, you guys be blessed, and we'll see you on the other side. Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of The Zone. The Zone is a production of the Open Mic Broadcast Network located in Prairie View, Texas. If you would have questions, comments, or concerns about The Zone or anything pertaining to the Open Mic Broadcast Network, feel free to visit our website at obnradio.com and submit your contact information.